We don't need lists.
We as in who?
As in you and I, the photographers.
Okay.
Your photographer doesn't need the list.
Who does?
Your family needs the list. We don't need to know who everybody is in the family. We just need to have family groupings together. But your uncle, your aunt, they need to know that they're supposed to be up there for that photo. Welcome to CR Conversations, hosted by Ryan and Christina Palma of CR Photos.
We're professional photographers who survived the unpredictable and grueling path that took us from rudimentary dreamers to fully self-employed business owners. From sleepless nights of editing to daring leaps of faith when quitting 9-to-5 jobs, we kept pushing for the dream to become reality, and we did it together every step of the way.
Amazingly enough, our marriage also survived that journey.
In our 15 plus years in the industry, we've acquired a wealth of information that goes far beyond camera settings and marketing do's and don'ts.
We've also piled up countless stories, affectionately called Uncle Bob stories.
We'll be leaking those one episode at a time.
Don't worry, names and places haven't changed to protect the guilty.
So welcome to CR Conversations. We hope you're ready to take a deep dive into life behind the lens and so much more. Hello friends, welcome to today's episode. This is going to be one that we will for sure use as a resource to all of you who are going to be in front of our lens, and then hopefully this will be a resource for other photographers as well. We are talking about arguably the most dreaded part of taking pictures on a wedding day. Do you think?
I don't know if it's the most dreaded for everybody.
For us, probably, because it requires a lot out of us and people don't really think of that.
I'd say it's the most formal part of the wedding day and the part that requires the most babysitting, corralling.
Yes. And you're trying to do it with a smile on your face and just be like, oh my goodness, can you people just listen? If you listen, we can get through this. But what is this part of the day?
Clearly your favorite part. It is the family formals.
Yes, family formals. So what are family formals when we say that?
Family formals, as the name implies, is a formal photo of your family that is usually done at the altar or wherever you had your actual ceremony for your wedding.
Yeah.
So after the ceremony's over, most typically we just get everybody right back up there and we will start to pose everybody. We like to do ladies first, so the bride's side and a large family. I won't get into all that. We're going to get into all the details, but it's your opportunity to get everyone in your family or
in one spot,
perhaps their opportunity to get in a photo with you.
But not too much of their opportunity. We'll explain all of that in a few moments. So like Ryan said, to sum up, it's getting everybody's pictures, everyone's standing, looking at the camera. It's not like a candid thing. It is an actual like, okay, we're all looking, we're smiling. And it's really kind of for us anyhow, the only time we do that sort of photo. Our style is very more candid, but
it's not going to be
the part.
Yeah, it's not going to be your prize winning photo.
No.
However, it is going to be the most likely photo that you are going to be putting on your fireplace mantle.
These are the ones that goes on all the mom's walls and all that stuff. So we're going to talk about the quote unquote problems that arise with family formals. And then we're also going to give you the solution so that those are not problems on your wedding day. So we're going to go through 3 of the biggest problems that happen in that segment of time. So what is number 1, Ryan?
The first problem is that people are people, not robots. Christina would like them to be robots sometimes. Okay, so what I mean is when people come up to get the family photos, this is often the first time they've gotten within 5 feet of the bride and groom. So they're thinking, oh, this is my time to say hello, my time to hug, my time to have a little conversation, when in actuality, it is just the time to come up there and get a quick photo.
Yeah.
And it's got to be quick because there's so much to do and there is designated time later on in the day for what they want to do. And again, I say people are people, not robots. They don't know. And of course, what's natural is you see your loved ones and you want to talk to them. But Christina would just like it.
Yeah, for sure. What ends up happening is people saying hello ends up eating up a lot of time and throwing everything totally off. So we're going to talk about the solution to that in the next part. Problem number 2 is family members are not there and ready. And this is probably number 1 in the problems, arena, but missing family members can completely throw off your whole day. So again, we're going to get to the solution that, and then a last problem, and this one can be a little tricky and sticky sometimes, is what?
Parents not lining up with what the bride and groom wish for the family formals.
Yeah.
Parents wanting their own set of photos, agenda, whatever there, and not necessarily being what the bride and groom wish for.
Yeah. So there are the problems. Now let's go into the fun part.
Did you just call the parents the problems?
Maybe accidentally.
Well, you know, what people have to realize is like when you look at those, the photos later on in life, you know, you're going to be like, that was the bride and groom's wedding day. It wasn't mom and dad's wedding day.
Say that again.
It's the bride and groom's wedding day. So, you know, all those things that you wanted, you had your wedding, you know, 20, 30 years ago. This is their day. It's going to, you know, go along with what their wishes are, at least in our opinion. And we feel like everybody should be respecting the bride and groom's opinion.
Yeah. And we will always, I always tell a bride and groom on a wedding day, hey, if I have to be the bad person, if I have to be the one to tell your parents, no, we're not doing this. This is what the bride and groom want. We will be that person. But let's go through solutions so we don't even have to have questions like that on your wedding day because we've already worked out the kinks. So the solution to problem number one, and if you don't remember, problem number one is people use this time to say hello and greet you and eat up a bunch of time, is what? What is the solution to making sure family members act more like robots?
It's actually really simple. It comes down to communication. I knew you knew what I was going to say because we have said that word probably more than any other word.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Except
yes.
you do say nuance and because I say effervescent.
Yeah, at least mine has meaning and is applicable.
Applicable? Oh, my. Words are not her strong.
Anyhow, communication. So
I say words are not her strong, and I couldn't even finish the sentence.
Yeah, look who's saying what. Emails need to be sent 2 weeks before the wedding, the week of your wedding, and texts need to be sent the week of your wedding. Now, you're like, great. What do I tell my family members? Don't you worry. We have all of this stuff mapped out for you. I will even include it in the show notes to this episode. But Ryan is also just going to literally read what you should be sending out to your family members a week before and the week of your wedding. So without further ado, what should somebody be sending to their family? This
can be an email or text format, even snail mail, although I highly would not recommend that.
Yeah.
Hello, family. We're so excited that our day is just about here. We can't wait to celebrate with you all. We have one small ask. We're planning to get family photos taken at the church immediately following the ceremony, and we'd be honored if you could please stay in the sanctuary after the wedding has concluded for those photos. We will be on a strict timeline, so while we would love to hug and chat with you all, we will need to save that for later at the reception. Thank you so much for understanding. We can't wait to break it down with you on the dance floor.
So that is something you would send your family members if you're following a traditional timeline, meaning that you're getting married in a church and your family formals will happen at the church right after the ceremony. This next one is for if you're not getting married at a church, say you're doing your wedding all in one location and you are going to have cocktail hour immediately after the wedding. It's a little bit different.
Hello, family. We are so excited that our day is just about here. We can't wait to celebrate with you all. We have one small ask. We're planning to take family photos immediately following the ceremony, and we're asking that you please stay in the ceremony area and not enter cocktail hour until the photographers have dismissed you. We will be on a strict timeline, so while we would love to hug and chat with you all, we will need to save that for later at the reception. Thank you so much for understanding. We can't wait to break it down with you on the dance floor later.
So whatever situation you are getting married in, you can use that message to send out to your family.
And you can tweak it to make it sound more your own, of course. This is just a guideline.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to, if you think
keep
that's
the main
too
points
nice,
in there.
If you think that's too nice and your family needs to be like, scolded a little more, by all means, you put your flavor in there. If you want things to run perhaps even more smoothly and even let your guests kind of know what your plans are, you can even have your officiant say something, to the tune of this after you have been announced husband and wife. The bride and groom wish to enjoy a few private moments together and celebrate their nuptials and capture photos immediately following the ceremony. Please enjoy cocktail hour in this beautiful venue. The bride and groom can't wait to celebrate with you on the dance floor. That just kind of lets everybody know, hey, what's happening. It may be also that final reminder those family members need to know, hey, I need to stay around here until I'm dismissed by the photographer. So when we say communication, that is what you really need to be communicating with your family. Just let them know exactly what you need for them. Let them know, hey, we're going to hang out with you. We're going to talk with you. We're going to dance with you, but not during family formals.
Solution number 2, we don't need lists.
We as in who?
As in you and I, the photographers.
Okay.
Your photographer
Okay.
doesn't need the list.
Who does?
Your family needs the list. We don't need to know who everybody is in the family. We just need to have family groupings together. But your uncle, your aunt, they need to know that they're supposed to be up there for that photo.
Yeah. So when it comes to making lists, this is a common question people have. Oh, do you want like a family photo list? And in all actuality, I'd say if you want to put the time into making a list, great. But it doesn't need to go, like Ryan said, to us. It needs to go to the people on that list. Now, why do we say that?
So this is like, you can tell us, all right, you want your large extended family photo. You want everybody in there, your aunts and uncles, but we don't need to know Aunt Sally, Uncle Harry, favorite Uncle Bob. We don't need to know like those particulars. Those people do need to know. So when the time comes, we are just shouting out the order that, hey, everybody on the bride's side, if you are related to her, come on forward. We are going to be doing the big family photo, but we don't need everybody's name mapped out, every single individual. We just need to know this is what you require and this is what you desire is this big group one. And then perhaps after that, it's just grandma and grandpa.
So, and the reason for that is we don't know who your family members are. So if there's a list with, Uncle Bob, Aunt Sally, Aunt Jenny, that's great. We don't know who they are. It's really easy for all of those family members to find the photographers. There's only 2 of us and we have cameras. That saves a ton of time because now we're not chasing around strangers and they come to us instead of the reverse. So that is why it's not like, oh, I don't want to follow this list. It's like, no, that ends up taking way more time. If we're going through like a list of photos, we have a really great system set up where Ryan said we start big. So bride side, we always say, if you're related to the bride in any way, shape or form, you're in this photo and then dwindle down from there as opposed to, taking a photo of you and Aunt Bob and Uncle Sally. And that people who only needed to be in there for one photo have now been sitting there for 20 minutes. So send those lists if you're going to make them. You don't even really need to the people you want photographed, not your photographer.
Yes. And let me just add one thing to this. Talking about our systems, we do have a systems even for the boyfriends and girlfriends of the family.
That may not make the final family cut.
There's always, you see it online. Hey, can you remove this person from this family photo? We haven't had to do that yet, right? I've had to remove objects from the back of a photo, but have we had to remove anybody? I don't think so. And here's why.
I can think of, no.
This is why we are able to not have to do that in the future. We get a photo with the said boyfriend and girlfriend and one without. Usually it's start out with the family and then, hey, come on in. And
significant others. And we always make it like fun and lighthearted. So it's not awkward because obviously that can be like an awkward moment. A girlfriend's sitting there like, do I get in? Do I not? And the boyfriend's like, yeah, you can come in. But then the mom's like, well, we want one without her too. So like we can kind of avoid all of that awkwardness because we make like jokes and all that stuff.
Yes. But it also helps that the mom and dad are going to know that ahead of time. So this is like just that planning ahead of time, that communication. You don't necessarily need to tell the boyfriend or girlfriend. They're just going to be showing up on that day. But, perhaps mom and dad need to know that we're going to get a photo with, maybe your brother has a very strange girlfriend that the family is not like too crazy about. And be like, Mom, don't worry.
We got one without too. Yeah. That leads us to our last solution to our problem of parents' wishes and bride and groom's wishes not aligning before the wedding day. So again, communication with your parents. So for example, if you as a bride and groom just want to do like immediate family photos and grandparents, that's something we always recommend. Like don't not take photos with grandma and grandpa. Say that's what you've decided to do. You just want to do immediate family formals, grandma and grandpa, and then, go to cocktail hour. Well, your mom may think, well, I want pictures with all my sisters. And dad's like, I want pictures with mom and dad and all this stuff. And
a very realistic example would be like the parents, if it's the parents' wishes that you get your photos with your godparents. that's something that if you requested that, 100%, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
But if it's something that your parents are wishing, which is outside of the norm of traditional family photos, hey, we can do those later at the reception.
Yeah. So make sure you have that conversation with your parents before. Like, hey, mom and dad, just so you know, we are going to get family pictures. We're only going to do grandma and grandpa. We can get things with cousins and aunts and uncles kind of more candidly throughout the cocktail hour and the reception. Make sure they know that, because what often happens is we know that's what you want as a bride and groom because we do a lot of talking and planning with you. But then the wedding day, mom's like, well, what about this sister? And what about that? And then it's this awkwardness and the bride and groom like, no, we're done. So communicate with your parents what your hopes and desires are. Now, if it is your hope and desire to do the full family photo, then again, send all these communications, let them know, and we will get that for you. Another thing you should for sure not do is what?
Tell your parents to make a list.
Now, why should somebody not have their parents make a list of photos they want on your wedding day?
Basically, it's giving them too much power and authority in this situation. And
one of the biggest things is you as a photographer, you see the bride and groom just melting inside as they stand there and get this group after group after group while cocktail hour is happening and all this stuff. And you're like, oh my gosh, why did you let them do that? So for sure, do not say to your mom or your mother-in-law and all the others, make a list of the photos you want at the wedding day, because we speak from experience. We have watched cocktail hour come and go for brides and grooms who have planned to be at their cocktail hour, but then stood there for a whole hour taking the most random group shots ever because mom had a list a mile long.
One more thing I'd like to add before we finish is that often there is, we've said it before, grandparents or people with disabilities, injuries,
little kids that may be around nap time.
You don't have to do all those photos, even formally, at that same time. If you know that you're going to a reception area with a beautiful garden landscape, anything that's like picturesque, a good spot to shoot, if it's more convenient for a grandparent to be wheeled up to somewhere else, let's save it for them. The only thing to consider with that is, once again, you'll be having to corral everybody together. So if you can get it done, then it may be painful, but think about what is going to be more important for you or what is going to take up time. If grandpa and grandma, like it's really strenuous for them to climb up the stairs to something and it's not the right time, save it for later for a time more convenient.
We can accommodate, people. And even on the wedding day, if there's like Ryan said, traditionally you start with the bride's family, but if the groom side has like all these little kids who are only there at the ceremony and they're kind of getting cranky, we'll pop them out first, just so they're not sitting there waiting and crying, getting more antsy. So we are obviously aware too of family dynamics and how things go, and we can alter things. Everything doesn't have to be so cookie cutter, but the biggest thing is just planning, communicating. Think
it all through. I think, like we said, plan for it, write your list, sit down with your future spouse and decide what is important to you. If it's important that your officiant is in a photo because he's a very dear friend or he's perhaps brought you through marriage counseling, a pastor, if you want them in the photo, we will make that happen. It's just that if you can get all that done ahead of time, you let everybody know. The more you communicate that sort of stuff ahead of time to all the parties, the people that are involved, the smoother the formal photos will go and the happier we will be about shooting family formals. Yeah.
Hope this was helpful, and we can't wait to shoot your family on your wedding day.
Shoot your family. We say that a lot. It's a photograph your family.
Until then, guys. Cheers. We hope today's episode was insightful. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review, as this helps others find us. If you have any questions or comments on topics you would like to hear us unpack, please send those to podcast@crphotos.org. Lastly, don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We can be found at C_R_conversations, and turn on those notifications so you never miss a post.